Hey there, and welcome to my second video in this series. Today we are going to bring some life, start putting some life to this barren base plate here. The first thing you want to do, open up a base plate like I've got here. Just start menu, new project, base plate, and we'll get here. First thing we're going to do, right click, and we're going to insert a part. And this right here, I'm just going to do that again. This is just a shortcut for a part, which is what you're going to use most of the time. Insert object will bring up this big menu here of other possible things that you could insert as well. And we'll deal with some of that stuff later. But right now we just need this part. Click and drag this. And then I'm in my model tab, same in the home tab, you have these tools here. And we have our move tool. So this is when you want to move it specifically. Scale, rotate, and transform, which is kind of a combination of all of the tools. So there are those tools. Other things to note, I've got my tools put on shortcuts. Side note about that, you can go File, Advanced, and Customize Shortcuts, and right here you see I have my Move tool. I was searching for that, and I can set a shortcut right here, and so that allows me to just hit my 2 key. In this case, I can just hit my 2 key, and it'll select my Move tool for me, so I don't have to always go up here and click it. So I could have my Scale tool, quickly select my Move tool, and you'll see me do that throughout these videos, since I've got quite a lot of my tools set to shortcuts because it can speed up the process a lot. Though don't worry about it in the beginning. If you want to just use the tools, that's perfectly fine. It's great while you're learning. So we already have this part here. Drag it around, but I'm going to show you something that you're probably going to wonder. So I'm going to Control D to duplicate, and you can see here collisions right here. This may be on, and if it is, I'm trying to drag this part through here and it won't let me because collisions are on. So this is a way that you can make sure parts won't go inside each other, but you know, sometimes you want to make parts fit inside of each other, so you can just turn collisions off, and then you can see I can drag them through each other. And that's most of the basics of this. The other big thing to note is right here under the model tab. You won't find this under the home tab. You have your rotate and move increments. So simply, I'm going to go to my rotate tool here. So right now I'm rotating at 7.5 degrees, but I could change this to say 90, or let's do 30 degrees. It's a good amount. So you can see here it's changed how much I rotate, and that's useful for when you need to rotate a part a specific amount. You can see all of the properties here. You could also go to the orientation here and set this to like 30. I'm just going to type in 30 here, and it'll rotate it. Control Z to undo that. And then move. Most of the time, you know, one stud is great for building, but I'm going to go small here using my Resize tool. This is 1 stud by 1 stud by 1 stud in size, and sometimes that isn't small enough for me. So what I can do is I'm just going to set this to 0.2, which right now is, as of this video, is the smallest you can make parts without using other methods. Just a plain part, the smallest it can get is 0.2 by 0.2 by 0.2 studs, and we can resize it now down to very small. So you noticed I mentioned the properties, so let's take a look at that quickly as well. Right here we have our brick color and color. This is going to be the color of our part. As you can see, I can hover over one of these colors to preview it, and then I can click one to select it. So we can make this, I don't know, let's make it a nice green. So there we have green, and then, you know, we might want some grass blocks, so we can change its material here. And there it is, there's grass. So now we have grass. And reflectancy, we've got a slider here, we can change how reflectant it is. That'll only work on a couple of materials, like smooth plastic. You can see it's how much of basically reflects the skybox. So if it's completely transparent, or reflectant, sorry, like it is now, it's reflecting the skybox. But that and plastic will be reflective, but stuff like grass will not. I'm going to set this to 0, which is no reflectancy, 1 is full. We also have transparency on a scale of 0 to 1, 1 being fully transparent. And then other stuff like name, we could name this, you know, grass part, so we can keep track of it in our Explorer, so we can just look here and go, oh, there's the part that's grass, cool. This is the orientation, like I showed you rotation. This is the position. These are in world coordinates, so it's basically there's a point that's been designated as the center of the world, and this is the position in studs from that point. Parent, so you know we might select this part, and so this will be inside it. I don't want that right now. That's more useful when we get into models, which we'll get into later. These are used for some velocity stuff. We'll deal with that when we get to it. Anchored, this is a big one right here. So right now, if I put this part in the air and I ran the place, it's not anchored, so it's going to be affected by physics. And that's great, but some of the time, you know, I don't know, you have some walls or something and you don't want it falling apart, so you can anchor it and you can keep it right there. It'll stay there. Archivable, you can leave. That's dealing with saving. I believe if it's not archivable and you save the place, it won't save that part. So you could use that for, it's not used often, but if for some reason you have a part that you want to put in the world, but you don't want it published, or you don't want to save it when you're done, you could turn that off. Can collide. With it on, you would walk on top of the part. Can collide off. If you're walking around with your character, you'll just go right through it. And then other important stuff, shape. Right now we have a block. We could change it to a ball, so we have a sphere here. And we can also change it to a cylinder. And then the size, this will tell us our size in studs. So we could make this like 2 by 2 by 2. It's a lot smaller there. And surface. This is another important one. I'm going to set this back to block. And I'm actually going to go, so right here in the workspace, I'm going to go to my base plate. And you can't select the base plate normally because it is locked right here. So having it locked means that you can see it, but when you're working in the workspace like this, I can click on it and it won't select it accidentally. So I can click on this part, it's not locked, but I can't select the base plate because it is. And so you have to select anything that's locked. Pretty much you have to select it from the Explorer here. So we're going to select the base plate, and I'm going to show you what these surfaces do. Bottom surface to smooth, and that'll be underneath it, and top surface. So right now this is studs, and there's a whole bunch of different options. You can have a glue, which will help hold it together with other parts, a hinge maybe, and a lot of things, but smooth. This is the one that will simply have the material, all you'll see is the material that you have selected for this. So, you know, baseplate, we could quickly make a grass field right there to be working in. I just did that by changing color our materials across and then making it smooth. And most of the time I work with smooth. I believe that's it. And in our next video, we're going to take some of the stuff that we've learned here and we're going to start making our first model that will eventually be a little scene. That'll be very cool. I've got some ideas for it, and we're definitely going to incorporate a bunch more stuff that is really awesome to know and that will serve you well. So until then, have fun messing around with these parts. You could maybe start trying to build some stuff. And if you got any questions, you know, leave a comment and I'll try and get back to you. So until then, see ya and enjoy your day.